the exact
Greenwood's
wording of the
Council.
historical commission.
What's this
call
town clock? You know what this is about.
But you,
No, I
you
don't.
think it just said elect.
Terry asked me to have you look at that
When you
and
start
ask
in
you.
it on them, talk to you.
And any board of commission, you have to be an elected.
But not in the culture district.
I know exactly what it is.
Okay.
Culture district didn't say that.
Part of the reason that, this is the thing that.
And I thought we were
All right.
flexible on the
I
historical.
don't think we were flexible on anything. We've worked too hard on that.
Shouldn't bring it
For
up.
6 years we've worked
So
on
we're
it.
not bringing that till they come up to.
Right. God, we had people taken off commissions
That's it.
because they were old.
Doors, there's that college and that goes to Cost Street.
That's, I mean,
It's all the way back here and then goes Cop, Green, Joyner, Torrington.
I've got to find the wording.
Right, wasn't it looping?
Why aren't we going to the rest of the community coming back to the green?
Stop and
they
shop.
texted me earlier.
Does, you know,
Well, this is for the
he's still
college.
interested, he's still a smart guy,
Might be the one for the
should be
college.
still part of it.
So
It will be.
my
Like the
question,
cops.
my question was, why are we paying for
No,
the Torrington?
I remember.
Torrington residents to come back?
Culture district,
We'll continue to research it, Jack.
yeah. I think that's what you have to do, just take his name, not for consideration tonight, I think
Yeah.
just table it for further discussion.
I haven't looked at
I
Melanie
mean,
stuff at all.
when I talked to him, he was calm, you know, hey, I'd go to meetings. I don't know,
Hard time.
I didn't ask him that.
They think it's a
That would be the easiest thing, just register to vote. Doesn't have to vote, just register.
Yeah, I can't find it. I can't find it, doesn't matter.
Sounds like he's a good guy for the,
7 o'clock.
sounds like he's.
Good evening. Today is Monday, November 6th, 2023. We are live on YouTube and welcome back to Charter Communications. We are live on that as well. Can I have the call to order?
Candace Bouchard.
Candy Perez.
Bob Geiger.
Todd Archelashi,
Glenn Albanesius.
Stevens headline.
Linda Grappo.
Jack Borg. Selectman Moorhart is excused. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Agenda review, anything?
I'd like to make one. I would like to take new business 10B and switch it with 10C and identify it as 23-72.
Anything else? Moving 10B to 10C.
Is there gonna be a motion or?
Anything else? Can I have the approval of minutes from our regular meeting on October the 16th?
Move they be accepted as presented.
Thank you, Steve. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Candace. Any discussion?
I'd like to make an amendment on page 2, in the third to the last bullet in the first section. It says our social service department was awarded $250,000. It should be the town of Winchester. And the end of it, it should say HVAC system at 44 Elm Street to be a community center. So it matches with the steep grant.
Any other corrections? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstaining? Moving on to item 5, citizens' comments. The Board of Selectmen welcomes public comments. Speakers be limited to 3 minutes or less and may speak only once. Who would like to speak? Mike's on.
Lynn Kessler, 272 Gilbert Avenue, Winstead, of course. I would like to bring up an issue of definitions, and this is regarding our charter. And this came to my attention when, at the last meeting for the Lutrish-Hamish approval for the Historic Commission, Linda Grappa brought up a point that he was not a voting member of the community. I wondered if this is necessarily so. So I looked through the charter, okay, front to back, back to front. And in the Historic Commission, it does say that all members shall be electors of the town of Winstead. But it occurred to me, what does that mean, electors? So there is a paragraph in the charter which defines the terms. Electors, okay? The definition of voters and electors in section 1708. As used in this charter, an elector means any person who is an elector of the town of Winstead. And I'll stop right at that point, because I can just hear Noah Webster cringing in his grave, because whoever wrote this committed the first sin of definitions, which is that thou shalt not use a word you are defining to define the word you're defining. Essentially, we don't know what elector means. Nowhere in this paragraph does it indicate what an elector means. It goes on to say, any person who is an elector of the town or a property owner of the age of et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Hamish Luttridge is a property owner in Winchester Center. So therefore, he should qualify as a member of the commission, Historic Commission. I don't know what's happened in the meantime, but according to the language in the paragraph for 50-3 Historic Commission, all members shall be electors of the town of Winstead. But, again, is an elector a town owner, a landowner? Now, going through the rest of the charter, in the Soldiers Monument Commission, nowhere does it state that a member has to be an elector or even a landowner in the town of Winchester. So essentially, that means there are two people who could have become members of the Soldiers Monument Commission that we should not have told, you can't be members. And we, Jack, you and I know who we're speaking of.
We do.
Yes, we do. So essentially, they could be serving right now, because we don't have terminology in that clause in the charter which identifies what the elector is. Okay? So going through the rest of it, the Ethics Commission does not require an elector. The Economic Development Commission does not require an elector. Parks and Recreation Boards does not require an elector. The Zoning Board of Appeals does. Okay? Water and Sewer Commission, and the Planning and Zoning Commission. And finally, the Inland Wetlands Course and Inland and Wetlands and Water Courses Agency does. So what we were looking at, in my opinion, is an imperfect charter, and we knew that. Okay? But I think we have more to look at in the charter other than what we have been revising before. So we need to have a second look and much more closely at, including in all the other commissions, exactly how you have to be a member of that commission. It varies by commission. You may have to be an elector of the town, you may not.
That was one of the issues that we tried to correct last year at the referendum for the charter revisions, because we realized that it's not a uniform standard, and hopefully we can.
We did it earlier than that, too. This is like, one time the whole thing was rewritten, and the town did not move forward with the charter changes. They voted against them.
We need to.
I know.
Okay, any lawyer would hang you for having this charter.
It's terrible.
And, yeah, and we don't want to be put in that situation.
No.
So, that's my 3 minutes, I think.
Who else would like to speak?
Thank you, Lynn.
I'm sorry, you'd like to speak with me?
No.
Anyone else like to speak?
Next.
Thank you, Lynn.
Is anybody else speaking? 'Cause
No one else wants to speak? All right,
Can I take a minute?
sure.
Oh, my God, this was
Oh,
good.
man.
Yeah, oh, man. Back in August, the rest of this board decided that we wanted to honor Candace Bouchard for her service here on the Board of Selectmen. Just from my own experience, I want to say that she's been one of the most not influential, but most important selectmen that I've seen and that I've worked with, not just because of her work here, but because of her work that she does on Friends of Main Street. But I do remember one thing, way back in like the 2015, when we had a board and we were discussing things, and she was ready to give credit to anybody that had good ideas. And one night she did that for me back then, which was a pretty good first step of what this board has done over the past 9 years or so, which is to work together for the betterment of Winston. That's always been her drive. She has never looked at, what side of the aisle she was on. I think all of us have watched her work over time. If any of you see Christmas lights, it's Candace. If you see the Fall Foliage Festival, Candace and her team. And the list goes on and on. I did want to get her a street lamp, though.
Oh,
I was
That would
looking.
have been a real slap in my face.
It's on back order.
Why don't you just give me a piece of one of them
Just for
after
fun.
someone
and-
hits it?
And if you've been around for a long time, you understand that. So on behalf of the board, I wanted to pass on from all of us a plaque that she would have that has her years of service here, so that she can have it at her home or wherever she'd like to put it. And we also got her a little cactus.
Thank you very much. It really has been an honor to work with everybody here, really appreciate it. I think everyone has worked really well together, and, when I first joined, obviously I was new to the town, and I never had been in municipal government, only corporate. And I appreciate all of the work that everyone's done to be an actual liaison to all the boards and commissions, and go. That didn't happen before. And that, everyone of the members of the selectmen take that, personally, that they follow each one of the boards and commissions and, monitor that and, bring back feedback. But, it's been a very much an honor. And I'm so glad that we were able to finally have a fund balance and fund roads. Now, I can't pave them, but it'd be nice, But that's something we'll work on. Thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate it.
Candace, I'd like to reflect a little bit on that, too. You knew I was going to say something. Hey, it's been a pleasure working with you. You raised questions. You were perceptive on a lot of issues that many of us weren't ready for. You made us perceptive on those things. And your dedication throughout the town has been a really wonderful thing to see. Last time I said this about somebody, he ended up...
He died?
No, he ended up going for town clerk. It was several years ago. I don't know what's going to happen to you in the future, but I do hope that you continue to be a part of our town, and if there's openings on commissions or
I knew
boards,
it.
we would love to consider you in a number of different places. Your contributions have always been stellar. Your thoughts have been deep, and I've appreciated every moment and every interaction that we've had. So thank you for being
Positive
here.
or negative. Thank you.
Where are you going?
I'm going nowhere. I bought a house here.
You're sick of it?
No, I'm retired, but I'm retiring from here just for the moment. I'm also on two other boards and commissions too. I mean, 2 other nonprofits, so.
Enjoy.
Thank you. Enjoy.
Yeah, I'd like to say, Candace, you've been a teacher, but you've also become a friend.
Thank
And
you.
I've really enjoyed learning from you and working with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'd like to say, I know you've made friends with everyone at Eversource.
I made him friends with the important ones at Eversource.
But I've appreciated that all of the good organization you brought to the agencies you're involved in, and how you do things in the background without looking for credit. That's really a great model for all of us.
Thank you.
And since we're going around the table, you've been a shining star. You have an excellent memory for data.
What
and
we went through.
little things that, very timely when you brought them back up, so thank you for
We
everything.
learned a
you've
lot
done.
in our, when we were in office together, that first 2 years.
Thank you for your dedication. You will be missed.
Thank you,
Are you
Todd.
blushing over there?
I think it's Irish skin and blushing.
And I'm working on the cleanup, please.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Moving on to item number 6, town manager's report.
I'd love to say I have a lot to report, but after 1 week, I've spent a lot of time with each member of the staff, and I'm pleased with how open they've been. I've gone over each one of their major issues, or several major issues it may be. So I've gone through a couple hundred emails already, a lot of phone calls, and thanks to Terry, who's been awesome. She is a real right hand and very helpful to me as I try to learn. The computer system's different than it used to be, so that's frustrated me to no end, but we're getting there. And it's a pleasure to be back, and thank you for having me.
I would like to thank you for taking care of the rotted totem poles that were in
Okay.
the green. I mean, we were taking pictures of them while we were working on the river cleanup and prepared to come in all guns loaded today, but thank you so much for
They're gone.
letting us know that they were scheduled to be removed and removed.
I guess the reference is, I'm waiting on a grievance from Public Works because I came up with a chainsaw Sunday and cut them down.
Well, they were just breaking, it was breaking off. It was terrible. There were liquor bottles inside them. It was, after 8 years. It's time.
Thank you,
you
they're
know.
done.
Moving on to item 7, correspondence. Anyone on the board have anything? Seeing none. Item 8, boards and commissions. Steve?
Thank you, Todd. I'd like to move first to a reappointment, and I would like to move that we reappoint John Herman as a member of the Board of Assessment Appeals. He is a permanent member, and the term would end in October of 2026.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor? 6-0.
And finally, and I believe, sir, are you Hamish Lutris? No. No? No. Oh, I thought he was here tonight. The question has been raised in public comment, and I wonder how the board would like to proceed. Would you like more research on the concept of elector, which I know Kevin Nelligan would love to hear about? Or how would you like us to proceed?
I think our charter's so bad. I don't know, I think we should leave behind something from our, what we suggest going forward to the next board. What our recommendation is. I would move that he would be added, but because there is no clarification on elector in our charter, there hasn't been. And if there's something that we could get from Kevin that he had written before for the next board to consider. I mean, I'm opposed to people who are no longer living or don't live here being on our boards, which has happened, many years ago. I mean, our boards are really on top of it, and if he's a resident, it's it's a non-political.
Well, and
It's
this
hard.
is a brand-new commission that we've just formed in the past, 2 months? And as I mentioned in our last meeting, Amish has been a very, very strong contributor in the history information, and he could certainly add value to the board. So whether we appoint him or not, I think he's still going to be on the commission and, or go to the commission meetings. But when I talked to him, he said he would like to contribute. And to your point, I don't think it makes a whole lot of difference. I know it's confusing with what Lynn said about, is he an elector or what we're going to do? but this is such a new board, and it's so, right now, inconsequential. It's not a board that has land use stuff. So
Authority.
I'd like to second that, to continue with the discussion.
I
put
think
him
there
on.
should be something written up based about why we're making this choice for specific commissions.
Fair?
At least it's consistent, you know. He's a resident,
He owns property.
he owns property. Go ahead, Candy.
This was all hashed out a year ago.
Yeah.
September, October. I mean, all this stuff about electors, residents, this, that, was all hashed out. And there was some agreement in some areas to change things, and there was not agreement in other areas to change certain things. So we didn't send it forward. I don't think you can change and excuse an elector for one commission that the way it's written now, you can't do it, because then you're gonna be excusing it for all the other ones within the charter. And then what other charter items will you excuse or override? So if we want to make the historical commission be about residents, then I suggest we change the historical commission, I don't know, is it an ordinance we did, or is it a charter we did? What did we do for the?
Ordinance.
So as ordinance, I suggest that we just make a motion to change the ordinance to include residents, not just that. And then that would be the proper technical way to do it, to not interfere with the other things within the charter the way they are. We all know, like, if we could start the whole charter all over again, you know, like I
Right.
talked with Candace like multiple times. I mean, the whole charter came about because of all the pieces that got put together over time. So why don't we just change the historical commission ordinance to include residents and/or electors? And if you wanna throw property owners in there, but define it within that ordinance, but not try to waive something already currently that's written.
Well, if we were gonna change the ordinance, then we have to go through the whole process of ordinance changing.
Yeah, so that shouldn't be a problem. It just, you know, you put it on the next one, it goes through, he participates until it changes, and then,
That seems like a valid way of doing it.
Yeah, I agree.
So it would just take Amish, I mean, he can go to meetings, but it may take a couple months before he can be official voter. Well, it takes 3 meetings for the
Yeah,
ordinance.
month and a half,
3,
month and a half.
month and a half, so that's 3 meetings of us.
Yep.
yeah, but there, I mean, how often does a board or commission disagree so much that one vote? You know, especially on things like that, where
Ah.
it's, you know.
So do we need to make a motion to bring the ordinance back for change?
Yes,
But it's not an agenda item.
yeah, it would have to be
For next meeting.
for the next,
Yeah.
added to the next meeting.
Right.
So no motion today, it would be at the next meeting. Would be
Do you
meeting
need a
number
formal
1.
motion to do that?
No.
Okay.
Well, I think we should. I think we should make a formal.
Yeah, because some of us may not be here, so.
A formal motion to add it to the next agenda, so that it was a board decision, it goes there, then whatever board is sitting here can decide to continue with it or not. But yeah, I think so.
Okay,
You okay with that, Mayor?
I'm okay with that. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to bring the Historical Commission ordinance for review by the Board of Selectmen at its, would that be December, no,
November,
November, which meeting?
they have
21st.
14.
November
21st.
21st, 20th.
23rd,
20th,
20th.
right?
6 and 14.
20th.
20th.
I'm sorry. 6,
Today's the 6th.
14, not 20th.
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 November
You
20th.
need to go back to school here.
I would second that, Jack.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
And Todd, I would, just for anyone listening in, I'll read that we always have vacancies in our boards and commissions, and currently we have vacancies in the Architectural Review Committee, the Board of Assessment Appeals, Conservation Commission, Economic Development Commission, Ethics Commission, Historic Commission, Laurel City Commission, Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission, Recreation Board, and Zoning Board of Appeals. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done out there. We appreciate volunteers stepping forward.
Thank you, Steve.
some energy.
Right, no.
No.
I think
Do we hear your hand going up? Please, Peter, consider.
You can talk to the other members that are on it, and I think that's managed by the head of planning, Lance. I think he's the one who manages that group. It's because it's under planning its own.
I'm sure if you talk to any one of us, we'll help you out and give you some directions. You can always use volunteers.
Item 9, unfinished business, Section A, 23-63B. Consider and possibly act on the adoption of an ordinance creating a cultural district commission. Meeting 3.
I ask that the Board of Selectmen please consider formally recognizing this, oh, that's a request today. I move that the Board of Selectmen recognize this as a third of the public meetings where a new ordinance is created for the Cultural District Commission in Winsted is considered, and that the board adopts this ordinance.
Thank you, Candace. Is there a second?
Second that.
Second.
Thank you, Steve. Discussion.
Yeah, can you just remind me what's the qualification to be on the Cultural District Commission, based on the last conversation we just had?
Same.
Well, under Section C of this, there's nothing here about
Elector.
electors or anything.
No, it says four of whom must live or work within the district.
Yeah, the word elector is not used at all.
Okay, good.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous? Item B, 23-68A, discussion on the current and future grant opportunities with Gilbert School Head Greg Sharif. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you, it's good to be back. As promised, I have a document for you, I'll pass it out, and you can review.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Greg.
So, just for context and bringing people up to speed who perhaps weren't here last time or just tuning in, I came before this board back in October to talk about the possibility of applying for the HVAC grant. There's $244 million at the state that has been earmarked for indoor air quality grant. Before I could move forward with that, we had to get a authorization letter from the town, the Board of Selectmen. I will say, at that time, if you recall, I didn't ask you to sign that letter because we didn't know what the number was going to be. We had no idea. We've been going through, we've had people from West State Mechanical come before our Board of Ed, come before our Building and Grounds, do a presentation. I literally got this quote this afternoon at about 3:30, 4 o'clock. So this is a memo from me to this board, just kind of giving you a brief synopsis of the state of our HVAC system. It was new in 1999, which uses a R22 refrigerant, which has been discontinued in 2020 due to its detrimental impact on the ozone layer. I'm asking that we have the go-ahead to apply for this grant. In doing so, there is a bill in the hopper, Connecticut Bill 424, which will mandate that all towns have capable of maintaining indoor air quality and in their educational institutions by 2026. So this grant would obviously address those concerns, but again, it does come with a hefty price tag. I am aware of that, and we cannot move forward without that. But in this packet, we have a letter from West State Mechanical that kind of describes the scope of the project, a very rudimentary schematic of that HVA system and the written proposal. So, like anything, whenever we go right to the bottom line, the back page. This comes, as I said, with a hefty price tag. It's $4,990,000. That's what it takes. That's what West State Mechanical is suggesting, which I will tell you is quite a shock for me as well. And I'm not suggesting that doesn't have a sticker shock to you, because I had to pull myself off the floor. Because when I was talking to Doug Fenninger and Mel, when I asked about what their cost was for Pearson, it was $1.8 million. They were fortunate enough to have some ESSER money in their budgets to take care of that. We obviously, didn't get the ESSER money of that magnitude to cover this. So that's kind of where we're at. I'm open for discussion, open for questions, but I do realize, this is a lot more than I think any of us had bargained for.
What's the difference in size of the two buildings between?
It's
Gilbert-
almost double in the classrooms and the space.
Okay,
Yes.
that's also-
Yeah.
And will you be getting more quotes than just one?
Yes, that would be the plan, obviously, but,
This is the initial.
this is the initial one, and this is just, and quite frankly, if this board decides to go forward and authorize that letter, full disclosure, it'll be a full sprint to the finish line. I mean, this is due, the application is due December 31st, and there's a lot to do in that time period.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it for the first time.
Yeah, I can respect that.
So, in here on the first page, how much of it's gonna be covered by the grant?
75% of that, so the
You're asking us to commit to 25%.
25%.
So 25% of that is going to be.
1.2
something
essentially.
million?
That's what the parameters of the grant outlined by the state of Connecticut call for, yes.
So I guess I would have a technical question then, in terms, and this might be a Kevin Nelligan question, is if we were to authorize this, then we're obligating the town to $1.25 million without a referendum or budget vote?
That's correct, but it does call for a process in doing that, saying you can go to a referendum or vote, but yeah, that's outlined in the grant as well.
Because I think that, just from a technical aspect, that might be, has Kevin looked at this?
It's required. The charter says you
Sure.
can only do a certain amount of money.
Right, and I understand that, Kenny,
That's right.
I
absolutely.
guess that's just,
Yeah.
I know things have to be fixed and I know all that. And I
Totally
thought
understand.
when you were talking about a grant, I was thinking you're gonna get like a $750,000 grant and.
Well,
And it was all gonna be
like I said,
covered and money would be
sticker
small.
price, as I mentioned last week, we were able to secure 2 grants from the state for security purposes, one for about 89,000, one for 126,000, and that too, the town reimbursement rate applies there. And then when we started going down this road relative to this HVAC grant, it's like anything else when we're doing renovations, you're renovating your bathroom, you never think, when you're all done, you look at the bottom line, you go, how did we ever get there, right? And this is, I too was really struck and shocked by that when we met, and I got this number today. I could appreciate that.
Well, yeah, because in the 4th paragraph, and commitment to fulfilling the financial obligation.
Correct, that's what that letter is, that local funding authorization letter, yes.
We certainly can't do that now.
Well, we
I
have to have
don't know, I
we
wasn't
have to have
here
a
before, so
referendum.
I wasn't here
Right.
before, so I don't know what preliminary work you did.
To that now,
That
that's
just
a big chunk of change that we don't know where we're
strikes me
getting.
right now.
Right.
Correct.
And the legal will have to look at that. There's a lot of work to do to figure out how to do that.
I am aware of that, and I fully understand the position this board is in.
I assume you do, okay.
Yes. And like I said, when we started talking about this goes back, a year ago when Candy was on our board. We were talking figures, I think we were talking about $700,000-800,000. Who knew, right? And all of a sudden today, I get essentially $5 million. So I understand that.
I think we should table it.
I think so, you have to.
I think we want to try to find a way to do it. It's
Right.
just,
Like I said, and you know, to use Josh's term, I really appreciate his term, you know, trying to utilize the 75% off coupon, right? What concerns me going forward is, I was trying to do as much research I could on this, this Connecticut Bill 424, and I think, like anything else, mandates that are put on us by the state, and the trickle down and the impact that it has on our communities, whether it's from an educational standpoint or kind of a financial impact on our town and our taxpayers, concerns me, right? So I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, but I also understand that $1.25 million is a lot of money. I could appreciate that from where we're at. I've been in enough of these meetings, but I'd hate to have come back in a year or two and say, okay, now it's mandated, there isn't grant money, and now we're on the hook for $5 million as a town. So I don't want to go down that road either, but I appreciate the position of the board with tabling it and kind of investigating more and see the process for referendum, if that, we need to go down that road and all that entails.
None of us hate to give up free money, but this edition didn't make it very free, so.
Well, absolutely, yes, I understand that.
because it, you know, like if it's a 1.25 million, like when's it due? Is it something that's paid out over how many years? Because 1.25 million, you know.
Right.
It could be 250 a year for
Sure.
6 years, but then who bonds it? Where's the money? Do you bond it? Do we bond it? Who bonds it?
Right, and there's a lot of work to go into that, yes. And that's why, quite frankly, when you look into this, when this came out in September, I believe it was September the 7th it was released.
Wow.
The due date was December 31st, and if you go through, really get into the weeds of I could see why there, and I'm hearing there's not many people applying for it. And I could see that there's just some of the parameters that are put in place in a limited time frame to do that. How do you put something out in September, expect it to be applied for in December, and not, how do you even put a referendum in place? It's impossible to do it that fast.
Do you have a drop dead date on when you would have to?
December 31st.
December 31st,
To
but.
get all the paperwork from us completed?
Yeah, but like I said, I can dig into this a little bit more, because again, I totally respect the position of the board and understand that we are all shocked by this. When I was here last month, I don't think any of us thought it was gonna be to the tune of that.
How many other proposals do you have out?
I don't have any right now. I was only put this on the fast track to get this, and I did a lot of arm twisting to try to get that today. And I literally, like I said, when I asked to be put on this, on the agenda, I didn't even have the proposal yet. And I was in email correspondence said, are we gonna have a number before I even go Monday? And he said, I'll get it to you Monday. And like I said, I got it at 3:30 or 4 o'clock this afternoon.
The letter says October 18th.
Well, that was the first part. I didn't have the number. That was our first meeting, October 18th, in which they came and gave a preliminary overview of the scope of the job with our school. But we had, at that time, we still had to get them drawings. And so they did an awful lot of work in a matter of, 3.5 weeks. But they didn't have a number at that point on October 18th.
It's dated, the proposal's dated the 6th of November.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering why you didn't get a couple bids at the same time.
Because I didn't, because they can't get people out.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, they want to do ed specs and get people out. You're calling people, you can't get people to return a phone call.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a time crunch. I mean,
On this.
yeah,
When they put out stuff like this, everyone goes for it.
yeah. So I was lucky enough that I had contact with them because they had just finished the Pearson School. And as a matter of fact, they still have trucks there occasionally during the week, and I happen to be able to get a contact there.
So we have a motion to table?
Yeah, that's. Greg, one thing I'd suggest, this resolution that you put in front of us, did you write that?
The resolution?
Yeah, we have a resolution that's supporting this grant, and before you come back to the board with another resolution where we consider it, I just thought the wording of that resolution had some inaccuracies.
I did not write it.
No,
That
he
was-
didn't
that
write. I
was-
think Josh wrote
That
that.
was
Josh
written
wrote
by
that.
Josh and it was in last
And-
month's packet.
And that's with all the numbers that are outdated,
Right, yeah, I did not write that,
because he was gonna come back with a proposal.
right.
Jack made the motion. Or
So we need to
Jack,
vote
did you
on it.
second?
What's that?
Yeah, Candace.
I made the motion to,
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay.
No, we need to
Jack made
vote.
the motion. Candace seconded.
Perfect, thank you.
All in favor?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Greg. Moving on to item 10, new business, 23-70, refunds as recommended by the Collector of Revenues.
Okay, I have, I don't know if you read all these, I got a combination motor vehicle and change the certificate for various smaller amounts, but they total $2,631.30. And I've got one separate one here that was just added for $49. So the total refunds this month request are $2,680.91.
Do we
So
have-
moved.
Thank you, Candace. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Steve. Any further discussion on the return? All in favor? Unanimous? 23-71, proposed line item transfers.
We have one proposed transfer from $1,528 from the contingency fund, and the same amount going to the chief examiner for outside services, $1,528.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Candace. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Linda. Any discussion?
And this was just an
Is
oversight
this
from
the
the
last
last
one?
meeting.
The question, is this the last one?
Probably not. I would love
Really?
to say that it is, but rarely does it, this is
November.
November. This would be the last, if this is November, this is our end of them, is it not?
I hope so. Should be.
Well, as you wrote, this is just an oversight from the last meeting.
Correct.
I thought we did all of these.
Did you complete them last, I don't know if you did the last one or not. Then this would be the last one.
All in favor? Unanimous? 23-72, consider and possibly act on approving a resolution in support of the town's acceptance of OPM 2023 steep grant totaling $250,000 for the purpose of renovations of 44 Elm Street. Bob?
Okay, this is a no-match grant, so this is $250,000 for renovation of the old, I call it the Bank of America building, as we were proposing to put in social services. There were to be 3 occupants in that building, Greenwood's Consulting, McCall Foundation, and one other social agency, which I'm not sure if it's confirmed yet, but this money is for a new roof on that building and renovation of the HVAC. I think this is probably a good resolution to accept, since there's no match by the town, and it certainly enhances a good piece of town property, which we've held for a number of years.
Thank you, Bob. Is there a motion?
Bob, the only question I might have is, did we ever officially
Accept that building?
no, not accept the building, I know we accepted it, but officially as a town, even as a board, agree that it should be a community center? We talked about it, but the fact that we're now applying for grant funded for it, should we have made some decision on a community center there publicly? We talked about it, but
I don't know if you all did a formal motion to accept that as a conclusion of it. I don't know.
It was a proposal use, but I don't know, it's not a sale of a property. I don't know if we're required to, but
I would tell you that I was concerned originally, in my last term, that not be used as a kind of a money sink for the town. I was looking for some sort of revenue. So these tenants will pay revenue, is all I can tell you at this point.
yeah, I remember Josh saying that
So I
the
was- but I don't-
maintenance of the building would be covered by the revenue from the
Because for a number of
users.
years, we did try to find a good tenant for it. I just did not want to give it up for a nonprofit
Not my
purpose.
question. My question more is,
I don't know if you approved it or not, because I was not around except for the last week, so.
we agreed that it was a good way to fund it, but I don't know what a requirement would be to determine use. Did we do what is that, 840 to planning and zoning? Do we have to do that? I don't
I
know.
don't know, see, I'm just wondering if accepting this puts us in any kind of a quandary that, hey, there was never a public decision about the use of that
Okay,
building.
I don't
I'm
know.
not putting it on your shoulders.
I know
'cause-
you're not, I understand that, but I'm saying this letter so states, it says community center without definition.
Because when we first talked about it, well, we talked about it a lot of times about what it would be. But I think the last thing it came down to, if memory serves me correctly, there were gonna be 3 social service agencies
Right.
that were gonna consolidate into one business and rent it, lease the space from us. And that they would be contributing a little bit to fix things up. Josh wrote the steep grant, and he's the one that went after the steep grant on this. We did not approve until after he wrote them, I think. But, so the thing was to lease it to 3 community agencies. But a community center can be very different than leasing it to community agencies, right?
Yeah,
correct.
So, a community center, in most people's minds, like if you go up to Litchfield, they have the Litchfield Community Center, they host events there, people can rent the space. It's a very active kind of thing. So is that what we want it to be, or is it leasing it to other people? And I think I think fixing it is a good idea.
I'm
But I
not
don't know about-
disagreeing, that we shouldn't use the
Stuff
money if
there.
it's available. It's
But
just,
the one conversation I had with Josh was that it would be available for other community uses. There would be event space in there along with the people who are paying rent. That was the last conversation I had.
The building, though, doesn't have handicap accessible.
That's why the second floor would have to be used for
Offices.
non-required
Offices.
office space, which would open that up for
Yeah,
the
but even-
downstairs.
But even office space, if you have somebody that needs handicap accessibility, you have to provide it.
So, and that's an expensive proposition to put an elevator in. So it's a good idea to get this money to renovate. The building needs the work suggested. but I
I've
don't
never
know.
been in disagreement with using the money or the
Yeah.
rent received, because I think I asked Josh,
Well-
are the users gonna pay for the maintenance of the building? And he said, yeah, the rent will turn over enough to maintain.
If we get them.
Yeah, well, but I'm just wondering if we call this a community center in this steep grant, are we obligating something here that we haven't approved?
Okay, you've already stated, I think, there's enough concern that maybe we ought to table this and let's review that and make sure that we're satisfied with the outcome of whatever this would be.
I don't wanna lose the money.
I
just wanna
understand.
do
I
it
don't
right.
either.
But
But-
you don't want to have to pay it back either.
That's correct.
Right, so let's, if, I don't see it, I think we've got time, so let's not commit to this until everyone is satisfied with an outstanding purpose.
Motion to table?
So move.
Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? Item 11, citizens' comments. The Board of Selectmen welcomes public comments. Speakers be limited to 3 minutes or less and may speak once. Please give your name. Anyone like to speak?
All right, name is Willard Platt, West Wakefield Boulevard, I think most of you know me. I want to thank this board for their service to Winston. You're leaving the town in a very good shape for the future boards, whoever it may be. You've taken a lot of abuse from different people in this town. You handled it very well. You've made some hard decisions directed at the voters who I don't think were ready for the consequences of their votes when they voted no for the budget the first time. I just want to thank you for doing a good job.
Thank you for saying that, Will.
Seeing no other comments? Item 12, Selectmen's comments.
I will definitely start this Saturday, November 11th, Veterans Day. Beginning at 2 o'clock at the Soldiers Monument, we will have, the monument will be open from 2 to 4, as it usually is on Saturday, November 11th, or on November 11th. But this Saturday, it will be a special ceremonies. First, there is a new bench. Remember, we had a letter that came in, back in July or something, requesting permission to have a bench put on a piece of town property. You agreed, the board agreed that that would be, and the bench will be dedicated to a former town employee who worked for the Public Works Department and often had his lunch up there and liked the scenery, and his family is dedicating the bench, no cost to the town, and it's already been pretty much set up. So that will be held on Saturday. Additionally, the Soldiers Monument Commission we'll be recognizing a couple of people who have been longtime commission members, who have dedicated years and years, some nearly 30 years, to working on the Soldiers Monument Commission. And that dedication will be part of the afternoon ceremony. And then, as usual, on November 11th, we will be reading the Gettysburg Address. Lincoln gave the Gettysburg Address on November 19th of 1863. So we have brought that around in the same amount of time period, November 19th, November 11th. We thought it would be a worthwhile event to have at the monument. So looks like nice day. Invite people to come up. The monument will be open from 2 to 4.
Thank you, Jack. Anyone else? Candace?
I'd like to thank everyone that came out on Saturday for the Fall River cleanup. It was a phenomenal amount of garbage as usual taken out, tires and everything. We also had an additional group there that I call them 009. They were called the Northwestern Connecticut Trout Unlimited. 009 came out as well. And this was organized primarily, even in Friends Main Street name, but actually by the Conservation Commission. Did a great job. I also want to thank all of the 27 businesses on Main Street and offering up their windows to more than 120 children for the Halloween window painting contest. And the winners will be announced this Wednesday. And that was a contest for children from kindergarten through 6th grade. And the winning teams win $10 each. And we had, really great turnout. We received a wonderful letter that will be in the newsletter as well. A 14-year resident who her family did 3 windows at Park Avenue Hardware. And she asked it be extended to 8th grade. Like, I don't think we can handle another grade, but it was a lot of fun,
Thank you, Candace. Also on Saturday, November 11th, Veterans Day at Forest View Cemetery, there's always a service at 11 a.m. To the citizens of Winston, it's been a privilege serving as your mayor for these last 2 years. I wish good luck to all the candidates running. It's been an honor to serve with this board for the last 2 years. Actually, the last 8 years. Steve?
With that, I move we adjourn.
Well, we should remind people to vote tomorrow, yes?
6 a.m. to 8 p.m., Pearson School. Don't forget to vote. Is there a second for Steve's motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you. Good night.